Let me just extemporize a little on some of the other clues as to Bishuasi's identity from some of the other selections that appeared on what I used to call her website. Well, let's say that Bishuasi is a bisexual woman and she is wealthy. Well, there is a video, or there was a video on that website, and I think the title of the video was "A Woman in Nagoya." Now, what does that suggest to me? It suggests that if Bishuasi was wealthy and she was bisexual, she might have something like what a successful, powerful man in her position might have. A woman, well, a man would be keeping a woman in a city somewhere in his country as his woman on the side. Okay, now if Bishuasi was wealthy and she was single, same-sex marriages are not legal in her country. So, let's say she wanted to be married to this woman, but couldn't. Okay, then that might explain the wedding ring she had on. I think she had on a wedding ring and an engagement ring as well. You know, I don't pay attention to those rings for a lot of reasons, but she could have been wearing rings in defiance of her society, saying that she wasn't legally married to this woman, but she wanted to be, so she wore the rings in honor of a relationship with the woman that this is the way a man would say it, she was keeping in this other city. Now, I have problems with that interpretation. One is that Bishuasi would be able to wear rings like that for that reason in her country. I think that kind of demonstration might have brought her so much opposition from others at her place of work that she wouldn't have been able to do that. So for that reason, I tend to think that those rings she was wearing, those are the rings of a real marriage to a man who was wealthy and passed away, that she continued to wear in honor of her marriage. Maybe because folks might have accused her of marrying that man for his money. Says it could be that Bishuasi is from a humble background in the South American country she comes from. And the reason I say that is the only time I've seen her is when she appeared symbolically in front of my house one night just after midnight in reference to who? Cinderella. She's saying, I am Cinderella, the poor girl from this South American country that starts with the letter A. I'm not able to remember the name of it right now. This is really me. Even though I'm a wealthy woman, in reality, I am this poor girl from this country. Now, there are a lot of indications that she's not poor now, but I'm not going to go into those because I'm talking about her sexual identity. And it's clear from just her visits to my country to simply drive by my house at night, as she sometimes has done. It's clear to me that to be able to do that, she must have plenty of money, because it is very expensive to stay in hotels and to travel between her country and mine, as I found out. I don't think that Bishuasi has been keeping a woman in Nagoya. I don't think she has. She's probably wealthy enough to do that, but it's not something she has done or would want to do. This is my opinion from other videos I've seen on what I'm calling her website. She has shown me by her choice of videos that she could live the life of a powerful TV presenter who's capable of meeting up with fans for sex at a hotel, the way the writer Norman Mailer did throughout his life. He's a famous writer. He wasn't a presenter. He was a famous American writer. And he was carrying on with fan after fan after fan, as far as I can tell from reading biographies on him, where women would write him letters and he would get in touch with these women and have affairs with them. And he was having affairs all the time as a powerful, famous American writer. So Bishuasi showed me that here's, in one of her videos, here's a hotel which doesn't even have a hotel clerk, and it's not that expensive, and you can choose your own sheets and this, that, and the other, and we could meet up there, but it's not something that she would want to do. I can tell from symbolism within that video, this is not something she's done, for example, because as I've said in other messages like this one, when she's showing that hotel room, like someone making a video on YouTube to tell others, well, you could stay at this hotel or that hotel, like a kind of travel advice video. When she's in there, she's like feeling around and she grabs like a hair dryer and like, what is this? And she drops it. Okay. So if she was a Norman Mailer type person who was in hotel after hotel, she wouldn't have done that. She would have known that's a hair dryer. She wouldn't have been reaching out to see, what is this? And she wouldn't have dropped it. She wouldn't even have showed that in her video. See what I'm saying? And there were other indications in the video that she was trying to tell me, this is not what I want with you. I do not want a night in a hotel with you. I do not. Now, here's another video along that line of messaging. She showed, for example, that a famous soccer player, and this is a white woman. This is not a soccer player from her country. She's going to go on an interview as a famous soccer player, and a televised interview. And for that televised interview, she brings along another famous soccer player who she's just had a night together with in a same-sex one-night stand. Well, they've just met, and they spent the night together, and so the woman says, I'm bringing this other famous soccer star on. We just met, and we spent the night together. I thought I'd bring her on with me. Well, I could tell the way that video fit in with other videos on a website that this is not something that she would do. Like, even if Bishuasi is not the kind of person who's famous enough to be interviewed that way, she's saying, I don't want this, okay, either. And here's something another along that line as well. Bishuasi showed on this website that another presenter, somewhat like her, in violation, like in every rule that I was seeing about presenters in her country, that there were certain dating laws and so on for these presenters, and they couldn't violate these dating laws and this, that, and the other, and yet this TV presenter, very much like her, in violation of all the laws, goes off with a famous tennis player from her country or another country. Anyway, she goes off from her place of work and no one even knows where she's gone to. And then, like, somewhat later, the public finds, oh, she's watching a famous tennis star who's invited her to see him play tennis. Once again, in violation of all the rules that would have been keeping someone like me from meeting Bishuasi at all. Here's someone in violation of all those rules is out, and the TV presenter is out. She's even left her place of work. No one knows where she's gone to. And well, when the dust from that settles, she's back at work as a TV presenter apparently. And well, I didn't follow up on whether the relationship continued or not with the famous tennis star, but as far as I know, she went back to work after all of that and stayed employed. Whereas that's not what happened to Bishuasi. Okay? It seems to me that for liking me, Bishuasi lost her job. Okay? As a regular presenter on this station where she's been appearing. Now, this is mere speculation, and I'd have to talk extensively to back up what I'm saying here, but that's the way things look to me. Now, why wouldn't someone like me be able to get through to Bishuasi? Well, here's the example from my own life. Back in 1988, I went to a TV station in the United States to try to meet a news broadcaster, okay, that I thought I'd like to be in a relationship with. And what happened? I went to that station, I asked to see her, and the man there called the police on me, okay? And from there, I went to 5 months in a United States, what I call mental prison. Following that, 2.5 years in a halfway mental prison house, and the remainder of my life, the next over 30 years, in the stigma of being considered absolutely crazy for having done what I did back in 1988, okay? No one needs the details, and no one's going to have those details. You're just going to have these sketchy, accusatory facts about me, and that's enough. They're going to draw these assumptions, and these assumptions made me the crazy uncle in my family, and I've suffered ever since, okay? So that's why someone like me does not go to her place of work and do what that famous tennis star did and seem to have no problem doing. I'm not a famous tennis star, so I don't do what he did. Now, if Bishuasi is a bisexual and she wants a relationship with a man and a woman at the same time, she is not the same as that other presenter who is very probably the presenter who gets together with a famous tennis star. She's not going to have the road to the success of a relationship that's anything like her road, okay? She wants something that is already not acceptable to a lot of people in her country and around the world. So she's kind of like in the boat that I'm in. I've just made claims that there was nothing wrong with what I did when I went to that station in 1988 and asked to get together with this news broadcaster. Nothing wrong with it, but a lot of people see there's a lot wrong with that because at that time I was already declared by U.S. law to be suffering from a major mental disease, and by law I was, and this is the way people would say this, crazy. Okay, so somebody like me is going to go and be in a relationship with a news broadcaster? No, he isn't. No, he or she isn't. And so Bishuasi, as a bisexual woman, is not just going to come and get together with me for the same reason. Okay? Because not only am I considered crazy, but she's kind of considered crazy herself already.